Hello everyone. I wanted to make a video of my first impressions of the Harbor Freight Central Machinery 8x12 precision benchtop lathe. I did post some pictures of this machine on a couple home machine shop sites on Facebook and got a lot of comments and feedback. Mostly were congratulations. There were some comments that were a little contentious about purchasing a Chinese lathe, but we'll see how it goes. It's my first lathe of any kind, so it's all new to me. I just wanted to show you a video of a few things that I thought might better elaborate on what I tried to explain in my posts on Facebook. So I'll just try to give you some close-ups of the finish on the machine. These little oil cups here, according to the manual, there's at least 21 of these on the machine to lubricate different points. Here are the ways. At least I think that's what they're called. I'm not an expert by any means. If I misname something or say something inaccurate, feel free to correct me. But from what I can tell, they're pretty nice. I don't know. You tell me. Finish looks good. The controls seem to work pretty well. I have had to tighten a few of these Allen screws. Nothing really fell out. It was just, I noticed a few of them were kind of loose. I don't really feel a lot of backlash in these. They turn smooth. They don't make any noises. Feels pretty good to me. These scales are nice. They're easy to read. They turn fairly easily on the handle. It's hard to do it one-handed, but works pretty nice. Everything seems to travel smoothly. I don't feel any binding. It did come with a fairly heavy layer of oil. It didn't feel like cosmoline, but it was a kind of a thick, sticky oil. It wasn't really hard to clean off, but everything was coated and didn't find any rust. One thing I did notice on this lathe when I got it is this. Right there it says Optimum. And that was unusual to me because in my research of these Chinese lathes, it seems like all of them are made by Sieg. And someone actually on one of the Facebook forums pointed out that these aren't made by Sieg. They're made by a German machinery company called Optimum. And I don't know if they just had a falling out with Harbor Freight or what happened, but this was on clearance for $899, and their 7x10, 7x12 lathes are Siegs. This one's not. And what intrigued me about this lathe when I was doing some research on Chinese lathes was its weight. This lathe weighs, according to the manual and the shipping papers, 250 pounds. That's quite a bit more than any other Chinese benchtop lathe this size. The Grizzly 8x16 weighs 166 pounds. The Grizzly 9x19 weighs 250 pounds. So somewhere in this machine there's another 100 pounds of weight between this and the Grizzly of similar size. I haven't really found any problems. The only thing that really sticks out is maybe this chuck is a little sticky sometimes, like right there. When I chuck something up in it, it doesn't really seem to have a problem. It tightens down fine. I don't have a magnetic base dial indicator to measure the run out, but I did chuck up a drill bit in it, and just by what I can see, which is, you know, I can't see a couple thou or 3 thou, it looks like it's running pretty true. Another nice feature on this lathe is all of the gears that came with the machine are metal. These are all metal gears, metal pulleys. Got a tooth drive belt from the motor to that pulley, and then a V-belt from the motor or that idler up to the spindle pulley. So your 6 speeds on this machine come from these pulleys, 1, 2, 3 here, and 1, 2, 3 down here up to the pulley on the chuck or the spindle, whatever you call it. This is unusual from what I've seen for Chinese mini lathe. Most of the Chinese mini lathes, if not all, have a variable speed control. This does not. This has those 6 speeds, and they're all driven by the pulleys. If you want to change speeds, you change the belt. It's not hard to do. It's a little tight, maybe because the belt's new, but you have 6 speeds and that's it. On the other lathes, you have a speed controller that gives you kind of infinite control, which might be nicer. I have a friend with a Grizzly lathe. He said that on his, when he turned it down to a really slow speed, it tended to stall the motor if he was taking like a heavy cut. And on this machine, if you slow it down with the pulleys, I would think this lathe would have more torque than that, because it's kind of like putting your car in first gear. One adjustment I made, and I don't know if you can see it, maybe. Right down there, behind that idler, I put a aluminum washer. And what it did was move this pulley out about the 1/16th, maybe an 1/8, but probably closer to a 1/16th of an inch. And it just gave it better alignment with this pulley here. Seemed to be in just a bit. So I did put a shim behind that and moved it out. I noticed on this machine one thing it doesn't like to do. It does not like to change directions with the motor on and by turning the switch. It will tend to trip this switch here. Not every time, but sometimes. So, and in the manual, I think it tells you to put it in the direction you want and then push the start button. Fairly quiet. I don't know if you can tell on the video, but fairly quiet. Everything seems to run pretty smooth. I don't hear any banging or clanking really. I don't know how quiet a lathe is supposed to be, but seems to run pretty smooth. Change direction, you just move it to the opposite. Good start. The only power feed on the machine is lengthwise. There's no cross feed, no power cross feed. So that engages fairly well. I do need to get underneath here and probably oil the parts underneath. I've oiled everything but that, but engages pretty easy. As you can see, this engages pretty easily. Back in. So it's pretty nice. What else? Oh, something else people have said about this machine is it's really not an 8x12. And I guess you measure the 12-inch, so 8-inch swing over the bed, 12 inches between centers. So from the chuck, and I've got that Morris Taper 2 dead center in all the way. I'll wind it back to 0. I don't really know how you measure a lathe exactly, but if I measure from like the face of the chuck to, glare on it, the point of that dead center, it's 13.5 inches. I think you measure center to center. So if I was to put the Morris Taper 3 dead center where the chuck is now, I would think it would be even further between centers. Another thing I noticed, so one feature this doesn't have that would be nice is the handle here on the tailstock to release the lock. On this machine you have to have a wrench to release the lock. They give you a really cheap wrench to do that. Not like a big deal, but Would be nice if it had that handle on it. So there's a screw right here that stops the tailstock from coming off the lathe. If I take that out, I can slide the tailstock back another inch and still engage this piece underneath right here. So this piece that locks the tailstock is flush now, and that actually gave it another inch between centers roughly. And I don't know if you're not supposed to do that. Probably not. But I could see myself in a bind if I had something long that, you know, was just this long and needed to go in there. I'd slide it back that far. Still fully engaged on this piece under the tailstock. So while I'm here, that sticker says induction hardened bedways. I don't know if every mini lathe has that or if that's something unique to this manufacturer. Maybe somebody knows. So anyway, that's my first impressions of this machine. So far I like it. I don't have any tools yet. I wanted to get it and look at it before I bought any tools, so I've ordered them, and pretty soon I'll be able to start making some cuts and see what it does. It did come with this toolbox, came with all those gears. That's for changing your threading, threads per inch. The manual is very vague on how that works, but I guess I'll figure it out. There's probably enough people online that could help me with that. So anyway, first impressions, I like it. The finish seems to be nice. I don't see any obvious flaws. Everything is smooth. Everything works. So yeah, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see, and I'll try to post another video when I start making chips with this thing. So anyway, thanks for watching.